This program has been made possible in part by Interweave, the handmade life, your craft community for books, magazines, videos, patterns, events, and more. On the web at interweavestore.com.
I've got a fun, quick tip for you on how to embellish even the simplest shawl. So you can see this shawl, which is a really simple stockinette stitch throughout, gets just a little bit of extra drama from a lovely beaded cast-on edge. The beads will help add weight and swing to your project, as well as a little bit of glittering interest. So here are just two easy and quick methods. The first tip that I have for you is just on how to string beads onto your yarn. You will need to have pre-strung beads for both of these techniques. Instead of trying to stick your yarn through a needle and working that through the beads, get one of these beading needles that's actually nothing but one big eye. And then I've threaded a length of sewing thread, strong sewing thread onto this, and tied a knot at the end. And we're actually going to treat this whole thing like one big needle. So open up your thread, fold your yarn inside, and then you can actually just start stringing your beads onto this neat, very bulk-free finish. So the first beaded cast on I'm going to show you is exactly like a long-tail cast on. I've got my beads strung onto my yarn, and I'm actually got them slid down toward the tail end of my yarn. You can tie a knot or something at the end if you're worried about your beads falling off. Now for a long tail cast on, I'm going to fold the yarn over my work, and I'm going to put the tail end of my yarn over my thumb and the ball end of my yarn over my index finger. I'm going to anchor both of those with the last two fingers of my left hand, and now I'm going to pull my needle back, and I've got these two loops, one on my index finger and one on my thumb. And a plain long tail cast on, just as a refresher, means bringing your needle up through the thumb loop from the bottom to the top, grabbing the leg of the index finger loop that's closest to you, and pulling it through. And that's one stitch cast on. So again, from the bottom to the top, grab the index finger loop and pull it through, dropping the yarn off your thumb and pulling it tight. Now to add beads to this is really simple. I'm going to move a few beads up my work. And remember that these are on the tail end, so they're on the loop that's going to go around your thumb. I'm going to go ahead and move one bead all the way up to the needle. You can see how secure that is. Again, up from the bottom to the top, grab the index finger loop and pull tight. And pull tight, making sure that your bead doesn't want to dance around or slip out from inside that anchoring knot. So once more, I'm going to push a bead all the way up to the needle, kind of hold it in place with my right hand, with my right thumb and index finger, and complete my long tail cast on, making sure that that knot is on the other side of that bead. Now you can add a bead on every cast on stitch, on every other cast on stitch, or however many beads that you want. This next cast on is even simpler. I'm going to make a slip knot. I'm going to slide one bead all the way up, and this is just a backwards loop cast on with beads added. So I'm going to put the yarn around my thumb like so. I'm going to take my needle in from the bottom to the top and just pull tight. And I've got a backwards loop cast onto my needle with a bead trapped right in there. Again, slide a bead all the way up, wrap the yarn around your thumb, and you'll note that the yarn this time is toward the ball as opposed to toward the tail of the yarn, and pull tight. And again, you can add a bead on every single cast on stitch or every other cast on stitch or however many. And this is exactly what you don't want. So I'm going to take that back off and do it again.